Today is November 4th. This is Conversations from Stritch. Good afternoon, everyone. We are really glad to be back for another episode. I'm glad to be joined by Dr. Christopher Sint, our provost, as usual. Did want to let the community know that this past weekend we had our Board of Trustees meeting. And as a part of that meeting, we approved the final budget for the 21-22 school year. As a part of that budget, we approved a positive operating margin for this year. And as all the employees heard in a letter that I sent them yesterday, as a part of this final budget, we were able to increase our raise pool from 1% that was in the original working budget to 2%. This is a testament to all the great work done by the entire Lewis community to create an environment where students want to study and learn. Students see the value of a Lewis education, and this allows us to continue to enhance the total compensation package for our employees, including this raise. In the last month, we also had our Finance Committee meeting, which approved the audit from last year, which we had a positive operating margin last year as well. And so we feel really good about the place that Lewis sits in terms of what is a really difficult higher ed landscape. We did spend the majority of the meeting with the trustees talking about the strategic plan, the importance of our Lasallian charism. There's a lot of excitement and momentum, both on campus as well as among the trustees, about our strategic plan and the work that's being done in the community to prepare us for the next 3 to 5 years. Next week, on Tuesday the 9th, we will have our second UPRAC meeting of the fall at 2 p.m. in the flight deck. Everybody's welcome to attend. We will be discussing the current state of the strategic planning process and ask for further input from the community. I do want to say a special thanks to all the people on the theme teams and everybody that has put ideas in for the strategic plan. I really think it's coming together, and we want more input from the community. Campus Visit Day is again this weekend. We have another visit day on Saturday with over 250 families, students who have signed up to attend. I'm really grateful for everybody in the community that is going to be there on Saturday to roll out the red carpet to welcome these prospective students to our campus. And the preparation that goes into it, as well as the faculty and staff who are there on Saturday, as well as our student workers, make it a really great experience for these prospective students and their families to see our campus at one of the prettiest times of the year. Last night, we officially launched our All Steinway program. This is a commitment that we have made as a campus to have all of our pianos. It'll take us about 6 or 7 more years to get all of our campus pianos to be Steinways. It's a really great program, as I think everybody watching is aware. Steinways is really a sense of excellence in the instrument community, and especially the best builders of pianos around the world. It's a demonstration of Lewis's commitment to excellence, really in the curricular and co-curricular lives of our students. We heard Adon Martinez last night, one of our students who is a chemistry major but loves to play piano, and I will say he is really a great pianist. And he described what a great thing it was for the opportunity that he had to stop into a practice room and practice on a Steinway, and that it actually was one of the issues, in addition to our great chemistry program, that pushed him over the edge in terms of deciding which school to transfer to, and that the opportunity and the availability of a great music program, even though he won't be studying music per se. The other thing that happened last night is we were able to invite in Matthew McCrite. Dr. McCrite is a pianist that works up at Carleton, as a professor up at Carleton in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And he performed last night some amazing pieces, and one of the pieces that he did was composed by Dr. Michael McFerrin, who chairs our music department, and was also there talking about the Steinway program, but also talking a little bit about his composition. We had a great crowd, and thanks again to everyone who attended last night, but also to, again, I'll say this now, though we could say it at any time during the show, we're grateful for the producers of this show, but who also work on so many events around campus that allow students and faculty and staff and alumni to participate even if they can't be present, and that was true with our Steinway program last night. It's now a pleasure to welcome Dr. Sint back. Chris, I know you have some news and events that are going on campus in terms of faculty and staff accomplishments.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be here with you and with everyone. I just want to say I also just had an incredible time last night at the Steinway event, and just to repeat, oh my gosh, we saw a chemistry major playing a Steinway for a group who was incredible and inspiring, and really it was just so palpable how much his experience of being a student here was changed by that opportunity to be able to play such an amazing instrument. And then the concert, again, a world-class pianist playing a whole range of different compositions, but an extraordinary piece by one of our faculty members, Dr. McFerrin, is just so cool to see that living out in such a wide, vivid way. When we were preparing for today, we forgot to mention something. We forgot to prepare to mention something, which is so we have Campus Visit Day on Saturday, which is great. Meanwhile, on the same day, here on campus, we have our 6th annual Will County collection of pumpkins for recycling, which is a great tradition here, 6th annual. So our physics department generously manages or helps to manage this pumpkin drop-off, which is essentially a recycling program where we put anybody in the community can come between 9 a.m. and noon on Saturday, drop off pumpkins or gourds, and that will go into our compost, our regular composting that we do here on campus. But the fun part is that they are catapulted into the compost by catapults built by our physics students and faculty. So please come out and do that if you have leftover pumpkins on your porches. It's also a document recycling day as well as an electronics recycling day. So you can bring paper, electronics, pumpkins. Or gourds all at the same time on Saturday morning. And it's really fun. So we do have some great faculty congratulations to make. Congratulations to Dr. Terry Carapis, Associate Professor of Nursing, who has co-authored an article in the Nursing Journal of Quality Care titled Reducing Cardiac Telemetry Nuisance Alarms Through Evidence-Based Interventions. Congratulations to Dr. Lily Burciaga, Assistant Professor of Psychology, who presented with colleagues at the biannual Conference of the Association of Counselor Education and Supervision. It took place in Atlanta in mid-October. We're so happy that our Public Safety Administration program has been ranked again in the top 10 in the nation, as determined by the Security Degree Hub. We offer a Master's in Public Safety Administration, both in person and online, which prepares professionals for leadership roles in the fields of law enforcement, emergency response, and public safety. For the 3rd consecutive year, Lewis University's Jet Fuel Review won a College Media Association Pinnacle Award in the Literary Magazine of the Year category. The student-run literary magazine earned 2nd place honor this year in the country. So maybe I said that too fast. Our literary journal, for the 3rd year in a row, has either been 1st place or 2nd place in the nation for national literary journals that are managed by undergraduate programs. Incredible distinction, and our reputation is obviously very big in that area. And then finally, congratulations to Mark Swain, who is a professor of art and design and is the featured artist this month in the Brent and Jean Wadsworth Gallery through November 23rd. So I think we showed the image there. So I'm looking forward to seeing Professor Swain's work in all of its depth and complexity. So some athletics news?
Yeah, some athletic news. Just a couple, I think each of us like to make little comments because there's such great news. But I was able to get over and see Mark's show. It's really a really great show. I have to say that, and I know this is true of you as well. We have a couple of Mark's pieces in the president's office. I know you have a piece of his in your office. So if you haven't gotten a chance to get over there, I highly recommend that you get over and take a look at his show. The other thing I wanted to say in terms of this ranking of our, and we get lots of high rankings, and so no, I'm calling it out because it was already, because it happened this month on the online criminal justice program. But I was talking to one of our trustees over the weekend when we were in Chicago about how many of the superintendents of schools and police chiefs in the Chicago metro area are Lewis grads. We really have, I think, been a leader in that area in terms of providing people who are already police officers and want to get a master's degree, and people who are already teachers or administrators in some way get a superintendent certificate or get a graduate degree in education. And it's really just been something that we've done a great job with. So I just wanted to point that out because it reminded me of that conversation. Okay, now back to athletics. Lots of action going on as we wrap up the end of the fall season and begin. Some of the fall programs are midstream, but Lewis University's nationally ranked men's and women's cross-country programs are set to compete in the NCAA Midwest Regionals this Saturday at Angel Mounds in Evansville, Indiana. The Flyer women, ranked 15th in the latest national poll, are coming off the second place finish at the GLVC Championships 10 days ago and head into the regional meet ranked 4th in the Midwest region. Lewis men's moved up to 11th in the latest poll after winning its second consecutive GLVC championship. Both the men and women, really great season so far, and we're excited to see how they do this weekend, so good luck this weekend. In soccer, the GLVC tournaments get underway this Sunday. The Lewis men will be hosting Drury on Sunday at 1, so come out to the Lewis Stadium and watch the men take on a really tough opponent, but it's that kind of 4-5 seed is always a really interesting game to me. The Lewis women will also take on Drury in Springfield, Missouri at noon on Sunday. They have to go on the road. Lewis's 20th ranked women's volleyball team continues its 5-game road trip with visits to Truman State and Missouri St. Louis this weekend. The Flyers take on the Bulldogs on Friday evening at 7, and then will compete against the Tritons on Saturday afternoon at 3. All these games are available on the GLVC Sports Network, which is glvcsn.com if you want to type that in and put it in your kind of saved sites to go to. So as every week, because in some ways this show started in some sense as a response to COVID, Chris, we have some updates in terms of what's going on with COVID.
Sure. I think we have some updates in our usual slide format. So if you could put those up, our cases per 100,000 this week is at 139. That's roughly what it was 2 weeks ago, the last time we talked. So we're sort of still in that red zone in our area. You may, if you are tracking this at home, you may have noticed that there is some improvement in the state. We had about 6 positive cases in our community last week and 3 so far this week, so about the same. It continues to be that steady in that steady zone. Our vaccination rates in the county and the state have actually gone up quite a lot in the last month, and so that's great news. 59% now fully vaccinated people in Will County. I think it's 60% in the state. So we're making great progress there. And then as we've talked about in our own community here, we do have a very heavy reporting rate as we enter into the second week of the second 8-week term. 94% of our students are reporting, and our employees and students are around that 90% rate. By the way, just a little tidbit of information that I never share until today. We also are aware of the vaccination status of our students who are fully online and are not coming to campus during the course of their studies. And their vaccination rate is actually 91%. So
That's great.
we know that our whole community of students and faculty and staff are all up in that 90% area. Just a couple of reminders. We continue to have weekly testing on Tuesdays from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will take the Wednesday, November 24th off. If you would like to, if people are typical Wednesday testers, make sure you note that in your calendars and either come that Tuesday or find alternatives in the community. As we move up, as we get closer to the Thanksgiving holiday, just a reminder of our advice to consider testing even if you are vaccinated before traveling for the holidays. And our testing on campus is available to all members of our community, whether you're required to test or not. But unvaccinated individuals are required to test weekly and to report on Thursdays by 6 p.m. So,
and Chris, we will have testing right after Thanksgiving. I think that both kind of before but after, when you've been exposed to lots of people that you don't maybe see more than once a year, we'll get back and do that normal Tuesday, Wednesday after Thanksgiving. So people will have that opportunity, even if they aren't required to, as you mentioned.
And I would just say our required cycle is similar to what we would advise for coming back from a vacation. So a reminder of that, you may or should test between Sunday and Wednesday for the Thursday reporting. So if you don't normally come to our Tuesday and Wednesday testing, and you certainly can do that coming back from Thanksgiving, but if you want to be a little safer, you could get tested on Sunday night or on Monday of that after coming back from Thanksgiving, and that would still qualify, and you'd still get results quickly. So
our guest,
we're
not
excited. Hearing any more questions. We're very happy to be
excited about our guest.
Joined by today's guest, Dr. Serafima Gettys, who is an associate professor and the director of the foreign language program here at Lewis. She joined our faculty in 2004, has her PhD in second language acquisition from St. Petersburg State University of Education in Russia. And prior to teaching at Lewis, she taught in a wide variety of institutions of higher education, including UC Berkeley and Stanford University. So she has been here a long time, established an innovative foreign language program here at Lewis, and has offered courses in, I think, 10 world languages, and we can ask her about that in just a second. And she teaches primarily Russian language courses and linguistics courses. So we are so pleased to welcome Dr. Serafima Gettys to the program. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to have you here with us.
So we wanted, one of our main reasons for asking you to come, and we want to talk about a wide range of things, is that this summer we received a grant called StarTalk, and we have actually received that for many years before, but it has a kind of new, some new dimensions to it as well. So maybe you could talk a little bit about where it's been.
StarTalk is a federally funded grant. Specifically, it is funded by National Security Agency, and its goal is to encourage young Americans to study critical languages. And critical languages, or critical need languages, are languages that are most important today for the economic well-being and national security of this country. And there are languages like Chinese, Arabic, Farsi, Hindi, Russian. Note that European languages, Spanish, French, German, do not belong to the group. So StarTalk funded summer programs for high school students and for college students. And each summer, please note that we had it for 11 years. We received this grant for 11 years, and each year we had to participate in competition. And it's a highly prestigious grant. And each summer we offered 4-week summer school for high school students and for college students. It was more popular with high school students, actually. And some of those, quite a few, later became Lewis students. They were exposed to Lewis, and they decided to choose it for their undergraduate education. This year grant is different. It's different in several respects. Well, for one thing, it's longer. It begins in spring 22 and ends in summer 23. Another thing, very important thing, is that the grant requires that the institution organizes a full immersion, residential. We didn't have residential programs before. Residential program, and one more thing. We can only accept students who already reached intermediate level of language, and that's probably the most challenging part, because there are not that many Americans with intermediate level in critical languages to begin with.
Will we be? I want to pause a little bit here on that, because it's one, very exciting to me, because I think having, and I'm not a linguist by any stretch, but I've studied languages, and I've studied it in an immersion kind of way, Spanish, going down to Cuernavaca to study that. But tell me a little bit about then how this changes your approach as you prepare, because we're going to have residential. The recruiting is going to be obviously a little more challenging, as you're mentioning. Will it still be, do you think it'll still be primarily high school students who are at that intermediate level, or do you think it'll shift the balance a little bit in terms of who's coming?
Yes.
And will we teach all of those languages? Three. So tell me about that.
Arabic, Chinese, and Russian.
Arabic, Chinese, and Russian.
These are the languages we have always offered. So, yes, it is the main challenge. And because of that, we have to have promotional efforts nationwide. And it's really hard to reach those students. We can only do it through faculty.
Sure.
So that's what we are doing now. And we are preparing, we have already started preparing for the summer program now. Those interested can go on StarTalk website, on Lou's site, and apply. And we already have received quite a few.
What would the number be that you'd want?
Well, the last time I saw, maybe last week, it was around, the whole...
Yeah, I mean, what would you want next summer that there's residential?
Number,
the ultimate number.
It's 14 students for each language.
And maybe we didn't say this out loud yet, but the grant pays for people to do it. So it's it's free.
Well, actually, grant pays for everything. It pays for board, it pays for classes, it pays for textbooks. The only thing it doesn't pay for is transportation.
Great.
But I was pleasantly surprised to see among the candidates people who come from California, from Portland, from Virginia. They have already applied. There are certainly very few schools that teach Russian, Arabic, and Chinese in Chicago area. So we have now balanced the number of high school students so far and university students.
Interesting.
So that's the second requirement of also, the purpose of the grant changed slightly. It is now not only to encourage young Americans to study critical languages, but also to incite their interest in federal employment.
Oh, okay.
All these federal agencies, CIA, FBI, Homeland Security, Department of Defense, they are in dire need of people who speak those languages. And it's literally a passport to the employment in the federal government for those who know even the basics of critical languages. So for those who minor, it's a 4-week program. Those who successfully complete the program will receive certificate, 6-credit certificate of higher education. So the students can use this certificate to take it to their schools, and their school decides what it is going to do with those credits. For example, 4 of my students in the second semester Russian are minoring in Russian. So they have already decided to join it. And I have to tell you that Lewis students will have preferential treatment.
Well, but I want to say to you, Serafima, I think what is so exciting about this is we've been doing this for a dozen years. They've changed the program. They know they have greater need. They want it to be more intense, be full immersion for 4 weeks. And they chose you, your leadership, the program here at Lewis, to say, we know Lewis can do this. We know Serafima can do this. We know her faculty that she brings in every summer can do this. And this is not, I mean, this is the NSA. It's not, it's not, this is the FBI, the NSA, the CIA that are saying, we need this and we trust Lewis to do it. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And full immersion is what it means is that at the beginning of the program, all students will sign a no English contract. And that means that they will be committed to communicate only in the target language throughout the whole program. To the extent, well, certainly in dining halls on the campus when they play volleyball, but even in their room, if they share a room with somebody, they will have to communicate in the target language. I know from my own experience that such programs where you are forced, it's not easy, where you are forced to speak only the language, are extremely efficient, a lot more efficient than regular programs. So for minors, like my students, it's a great opportunity to finish the minor in a lot shorter time. And this is the main obstacle for students not taking minor, because they simply do not have time. And we offer them this opportunity.
It also seems like a great way for them to meet students from other colleges and universities across the country who have similar interests.
Yeah, we never had it that. We always had only Illinois.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I think it'll be great. It'll be interesting to me, like I'm imagining in my head that, as you say, they go to dinner, they go back to their dorm room, they are talking in Russian or in Arabic, in Chinese, and they're talking about who do you want to work for, the CIA or the NSA? And they're trying to do that in Chinese, right? Which is fascinating to think about, because I think that's I think part of Chris's point. They're going to meet people from other places in the country, but who have similar interests. Like I'm a sophomore in college. I'm studying, this language and political science, and now I'm going to meet somebody who goes to another university, and I might be a colleague of theirs at the NSA in 5 years.
Absolutely, especially those who are in criminal justice. These guys want to be there in FBI and CIA, certainly political science, history.
Yes.
That's, for them, it's necessary to speak one of those languages. And in general, we offer 4 minors, 1 major in Spanish, and minor in Chinese, in Russian, and in Arabic. So it's a very easy minor, I would say 18 credit minor, and students of who pursue any academic major can have it, can pursue it. You must have noticed that we focus on critical languages, and in this respect, we are very different from other schools around us that do not offer critical languages. I think I know only one offering Arabic. And we had to invent an innovative program because there are no materials, no textbooks. So our program is very innovative in the sense that I would say it's more user-friendly. Its focus is speaking, and reading and writing are used only as far as they help speaking. They are extremely interactive, and we don't have those tedious, grammar rules and vocabulary.
Yeah. So, Serafima, how many faculty in each one of the languages? So you're going to have 14 students in each language, if all goes as expected next summer. How many? So there are 14 students studying Chinese, and there's how many faculty that work with them?
Well, there is one instructor.
One instructor for 14.
But there is a teaching assistant.
Okay. All right.
And as a matter of fact, teaching assistant is staying with students in the dormitory to see
perfect.
that everything is fine.
Yeah, perfect. That's great.
Yeah, and they're native speakers of the language. Moreover, students from Arabic group cannot communicate with students from Chinese group.
Wow.
Sure.
Great.
So we are hoping to get different floors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely it's 5 hours a day of classes. And then it's very important part, cultural evening and weekend events, and they are all in the language.
That's great.
So it's really immersing.
Which then, so again, you talk about what, not only are we relatively unique in the Chicago market in terms of having all three of these critical languages taught here, getting this grant, and then having a city like Chicago is a great opportunity, right? I mean, I'd love to hear you talk about, so they're doing these field trips. How does Chicago make a difference for the ability that you can create a program for 3 distinct languages in Chicago?
Yeah, Chicagoland, right?
Yeah, Chicagoland, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm sure that those who applied are also interested in Chicago. I have no doubt about it. And we're going to take them, we're going to have trips to Chicago, to Chinatown. But generally they will be on the campus in our dormitories. Safety is very important, especially for high school students. So I'm sure that it attracts interest. Yeah.
I just think of, because I do know it's such a multicultural city, so the ability to find Arabic speakers and people that you can partner with in the broader Chicago suburbs that can help you is a really asset, and you can do it in Chinese and you can do it in Russian. I'm sure you have many contacts in the Russian community here yourself.
Here, no, there are no Russians in this area, but in Chicago.
That's it, I guess I meant the broader Chicagoland area. Yeah, sure.
So just to finish up with some details about StarTalk, the deadline is, I think, December 31st to apply?
Exactly.
Okay.
The application deadline, December 21st.
And if people go to the website for our foreign language department, they can find information about.
The only requirement from outsiders is for them to submit their transcripts. We don't even ask loose students to do that.
Okay.
School, and I hope it has always been very competitive. We always selected the cream, to be quite honest.
Great.
I hope this year will be the same, but like one of the leaders of my field said, it's not that Americans do not want to study languages. It's that they think they can't.
That's interesting. So we want to ask you, maybe that's a good transition into asking just more about any advice you have. We have students watching, we have prospective students and their parents watching, eventually, who maybe tuned in. What can you, well, first of all, practically, what can a student do at Lewis if they're just interested in exploring a little bit? You talked about the minors and the major in Spanish.
Yeah.
But if someone just wants to improve their Arabic, how do they go about it?
Oh, it's on a regular basis. I'm actually very happy that I'm here at this time before the registration, because it does help us. Some students are not even aware of those opportunities, unfortunately, because they can only learn about it from catalogs. Unfortunately, we don't have these huge classrooms of general courses where we can promote, but we're trying. So we have Discover Languages series, where individual languages are described, not in scientific terms, but from cultural perspective. How does culture of a certain of certain people manifests in the language? Light-hearted lectures. Then the new initiative is International Tea Time. Unfortunately, it was interrupted by the pandemic. But we had, before the pandemic, we had quite a decent interest in that. That's because the students, international students, speak, and they describe their country, plus there are snacks.
Food is important.
So we're trying to gain again, the same level of participation. It is still hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that came in, Chris asked about the deadline, but you already said this, but I think it's worth repeating. So if somebody applies to StarTalk by December 15th and they get accepted into the program, aside from them getting to Lewis University, their costs are, for the whole program, they're 4 weeks here, they live here, how much does it cost them?
Nothing.
You see, that's what I wanted you to say. Costs them nothing.
That was a setup question.
Absolutely nothing.
But I think it's hard for some of our audience members to appreciate. I get to spend 4 weeks.
It's 100% free.
I have 2 faculty that are going to take care of me. I'm going to eat. I'm going to go on some field trips.
Make
friends and this grant from the federal government. And I want to emphasize this because we have so many. There is a great need for people to be able to speak these critical languages in the federal government, but in all sorts of other businesses.
Yeah.
So this is really a need that our society is demanding.
Yeah.
And we talk so much about, you said it already, Serafima, but the connection here is that not only is Lewis, a leader in this area, and Serafima is a leader in this area, so that's why we are so well positioned to receive the grant in the first place. And also, the government is paying for this because there are great jobs connected to this education. So studying languages, studying these critical languages is an extremely practical, professional choice.
I truly believe that it gives them competitive edge when they graduate, definitely. Unfortunately, more commonly taught languages don't, because Spanish is a default language for Americans. French is, everybody speaks English in France, and in Germany. So it is those languages that give them a priority.
So can I ask another practical question? So because the program has changed, if somebody did StarTalk at Lewis last summer or the summer before, and they wanted to do this, because it's a different kind of program, right? A full immersion. So let's say they did it as a junior in high school last year, but now they want to do it again. Can they apply again?
Well, we don't know what the National Security Agency will tell us to do. I don't think so.
So a student, Bill Smith, who was here with you
Yeah.
last year, will not be able to be in this program again this summer.
I
Okay.
don't think so.
Yeah.
But we have been considering doing it in the future to introduce summer program to our minors,
Interesting. Okay.
to allow them to, again, to do it faster. And as a matter of fact, the secret is we're preparing another grant proposal, and that's what, and based on it, that's what we are hoping to do.
To do more of, to be kind of doing a second level in the summer
Yeah.
for certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Other,
So, no,
go
I
ahead.
think we're getting close to the end of our
Yeah.
time. Do you have any other?
You know, I don't.
Questions?
I just want to, once again, say thank you to
Thank
you
you.
and your leadership, but also just say how I think Chris and I both, obviously you've spent your life in it, but it's so, having another language as even, and I speak Spanish very poorly, but having it as just something, it enriches your whole world, right? You
Oh,
see the world differently because words matter, language matters, and you can't fully understand another culture without their language.
Absolutely
And I
not.
think for those of us, that have had that experience, and both my children majored in Spanish, and one of them is completely bilingual and spends much of her day speaking in Spanish. It's just it opens up a world. So I just invite our students, prospective parents of students, to really think through how a major or a minor in a language might enhance whatever it is that you're studying. Because I think whether you're studying business or criminal justice or chemistry, learning one of these critical languages can really enhance your future. So thank you again for
And I
joining.
wanna,
Please.
I can't help, I want to say a couple more things.
Yes,
'cause
please.
I love these connections we're making. So we started the show talking about a chemistry student playing a Steinway.
Yes.
And that's what's so great about Lewis, is that you can come to Lewis as another major. We strongly encourage Spanish as a major as well, but you can minor in Arabic, or you can be a major in chemistry or business and minor in Arabic, which would also be really valuable.
I have a student who chose Lewis because Russian is offered here.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And then we talked earlier today about criminal justice and its
Yes.
reputation, and we
Yes.
talked very much in this conversation about those connections and how valuable these languages are to those professions. We've talked many times in the last month about our international efforts, both in terms of having students as well as the Si Se Puede conference we
Yes.
talked about last time. So it's just so all connected as
Yes.
part of and the work that Serafima does is so connected to our emphasis and value around international education and global learning. And so I'm so grateful that you're here and with us, and it's such a
Yes.
great
So
part
thank
of our
you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, and you can stay seated for just a second. I'm just gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up the show, and I'm gonna say this. I also started talking about our strategic plan. Two main focal points of our strategic plan are around academic distinction and values in action. I would say this focus on language and internationalization is, in fact, our values in action. The Lasallian world community is a global community which really emphasizes the ability to live in association, which means to be able to speak to each other, share each other's culture, benefit from that. And so we really believe that we are academically distinct because we are the only place that teaches these three critical languages. And it's one of many, many aspects that make us such a rich university community. So I wish you all a wonderful end of the week. Thank you, Serafima. All of our guests that are watching us today, have a wonderful weekend. Many blessings to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Great job. You were great.
Great. You were great. You're